This week on TGC News, expensive revolvers, cheap semi-autos, and guns that make you go, huh? Tack is an enthusiast subscription service that is focused on bringing you the stuff you need straight to your door on a monthly basis. Every month is different, and you can be met with gun parts, accessories, cleaning gear, or even some bigger and cooler shenanigans. And because you're watching TGC, if you use the code TGC Knife, you'll get a free ABKT knife. And if you use the code TGC Brake, you will get a free muzzle brake. Only when you punch them in over at tackpack.com. Welcome back to another episode of TGC News, the only gun news show that covers things you actually care about. My name is Jon Patton. Shout out to everyone that has grabbed up some of our new merch over at Ballistic Inc. We have a ton of options over there, including some new hats. Everybody's asked for hats for a long time, and we also have some ladies' gear as well, so check all that out. Plus, we have hoodies, and it's about that time of year. Go grab them up. Now, how about some news? First up this week, I'm going to irritate a bunch of people by talking about some really expensive guns. If you've ever thought to yourself, man, I really like revolvers, but I want one that's as expensive as my first car, I've got you covered. A lesser-known part of Nighthawk is a company called Korth. They produce some of the nicest revolvers you could ever put your hands on, and they've released some new models, all chambered in .357 Magnum. The first one is called the Ranger, and the core concept here was to design a 4-inch barrel wheel gun with a pick rail on top for an optic and a rail on the bottom for a light or laser. The barrel assembly has a bunch of cuts in it, likely to reduce weight, that comes from adding the material for the rails. It also has a very nice Turkish walnut grip. Moving along, you also have the new Mongoose Silver to accompany the black version. This is essentially the same thing as the original Mongoose, but with silver DLC finish and, again, nice walnut grips. And they also released a new version of their Super Sport called the ALX Blue. The claim to fame on this one, besides the striking color scheme, is a roller-bearing trigger system and fully machined parts throughout the gun as well, whatever that means, and a lighter total weight at 2.91 pounds. The Super Sport guns are adjustable in a bunch of different ways and are really meant to take competition wheel guns to another level. And rounding us out on these mortgage payments is the Super Sport ULX Red. Again, a very striking color scheme, all kinds of adjustability, and overall lighter weight than the ALX Blue at 2.72 pounds. They've achieved this by skeletonizing the barrel shroud area. All of these guns will have incredibly smooth actions and incredibly smooth trigger pulls because that's what Korth does. They make really, really nice guns. And the price tag, well, hold on to your butts here. The Ranger weighs in at $4,799. It gets better. The Silver Mongoose and both of the Super Sport models kick the wallet's teeth in at $5,549 MSRP, of course. And I know a lot of you guys are like, John, those are super expensive. Why should I care? Well, in my opinion, guns like this are sort of like concept cars or high-end luxury cars. What we see being released on them now may become standard on normal cars in a few years' time. So think of these like the Mercedes S-Class of wheel guns. Really expensive, but really nice to boot. I want to know what you guys think of guns like this. Tell me what you like, and tell me what you don't like about them down in the comments, and let's talk about it. Next up this week, since you guys dealt with something super expensive, let's go the complete opposite direction with a brand new gun from Kel-Tec. It's called the P17, and it's pretty intriguing. Fully loaded, it weighs under a pound. It comes with 3 16-round magazines. It has an ambi safety and mag release, and on top of that, it's only slightly larger than the Smith & Wesson Shield. How the hell did they do all of that? Well, first off, it's chambered in .22 long rifle. I believe this is an expansion of the CP33, which holds 33 rounds. It's a much larger gun, and this gun seems to be a smaller version of that. They accomplished this higher than everyone else capacity in a .22 by quad stacking the rounds in the mag. Everyone else is doing like a staggered single stack, and Kel-Tec, wanting to continue to do interesting things, pushed that to another level. When I was researching this gun, I found that Jackie over at guns.com actually was able to put her hands on it and took this picture of the gun with the slide off. This image tells us a couple things. One, the slide consists of that rear portion primarily and only has a small, thin connection to the fixed barrel and spring unit via that kind of bar thing on top. And two, at least from what we can see, there aren't a lot of parts moving back and forth, and that generally means a simpler design, which generally means a cheaper gun. The MSRP on this new P17 is $199, which in my opinion is really solid. However, Kel-Tec has had some hiccups in the past, and even though they are a supporter of TGC, they've sponsored stuff here on the channel, it's only fair that we point out things in the past that have taken effing forever to get into stores, or they've had challenges keeping them in stock. Remember the launch of the PMR 30? Everyone was really excited about a cheap 22 mag that held a bunch of rounds, and because they were tough to get a hold of for a long time, they were selling for double the MSRP for a long time. That's not great. Either way, a new option when it comes to a small 22 is definitely not a bad thing. Sig is in the news big time this week. I've saved this for later in the show because there's a lot of stuff going on with Sig alone. First up, they were awarded a contract for the U.S. Army's next generation squad weapons. Included in this were a light machine gun, belt fed for the win, a more standard kind of rifle, and suppressors for them both. On top of that, these were designed around a 6.8 hybrid round that have a segmented case. What this means in reality is that Sig is another step closer to being the next weapon system for the U.S. Army. They will be competing against companies like General Dynamics and a couple others. Innovation comes out of things like this. These military trials, that's where innovation can often come from, and I'm looking forward to seeing the results of all this. Beyond that, Sig has announced a new pistol version of their Tread AR-15 rifle. There's not really much to say about that. It's a pistol version of the same thing. It also is hilarious to see them in their promo video avoiding contact with the brace on the shoulder like it's got a disease. They also released a new version of the 365 called the SAS, or Sig Anti-Snag. Long story short, they've removed the normal sights from the gun and replaced them with a sort of modified version of the Meprolite FT bullseye sights, which sit, in this case, down in the slide. It also means that all of the controls that were normally sticking out on the gun are now moved inboard for a very snag-free design. What that means is you can no longer use the sights for manipulating the gun, and the same goes for the slide catch. So you'll have to manually slingshot the slide every time. One-handed manipulations are not a thing with this version of the gun. Not only have they removed the traditional sights, but this version of the gun also has a ported barrel and slide to try and keep recoil under control. The thing that comes to mind about this gun is why? Who is getting the sights, those little itty-bitty sights, snagged on things enough to warrant this as a separate model? I've shot a lot of guns over the years. Like this, I do this professionally, and I can't think of a single time when the sights have been an issue for me. I understand that I'm not able to see every perspective, and maybe there's like some sort of professional person, you know, some security or cop or I don't know, maybe something like that, that they're having this issue, but I don't know. Maybe you guys can help me understand why. Tell me why. If you're having this issue, tell me why in the comments, because I'm straight up confused. I don't get it. Also, hey, Sig, please make a ported 365 version with sights. Okay? Thanks. Our Guntuber of the week this time is a channel that has been picking up a little bit of steam recently. Mike does a lot of work with Glocks and keeps his presentation concise and really easy to follow. I think you guys are going to enjoy this one. Say hello to Tactical Considerations.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back, and we're going to talk about the Gen 5 Overwatch Precision trigger right there. So Overwatch obviously is one of those companies that you paid attention to my channel, you know I absolutely enjoy their triggers. And if you have been around shooting sports or the gun world for any amount of time, you will know that one thing that seems to come and go in the firearms world, especially the competition world, is compensators. Very interesting design. The fact that if you look at it right there in the light, almost looks like two eyes and a mouth and a guy trying to get out of a gel cell or something.
Man, I'd say that thing runs.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back, and today we're going to talk about calming things down.
You guys know I'm a big proponent of clean video and audio, and Mike certainly has that. And I think you guys, like I said, are going to enjoy this. It's simple to the point, and it's just good. There is a link down in the description for you guys to head over to his channel, get subscribed, and when you do, be sure to tell him that TGC sent you. You know, guys, I've been thinking about getting a hybrid lately. No, not the kind of hybrid you're thinking. The handmade in the USA kind of hybrid with leather and Kydex. The kind that is available for just about every popular handgun on the planet. The kind that's comfortable when you put it on and comfortable all day, even if you're a big guy. I might need a belt to go with it too. Crossbreed holsters will definitely check those boxes. And if you use the code TGC15 over at crossbreedholsters.com, you'll get a whopping 15% off your entire order. It's time now for more Friendly Fire, the segment where I answer your questions from all over the interwebs. I asked the TGC Instagram followers for questions this week, and you guys delivered. Austin Paul says, why did it take Walmart acting dumb for people to realize they should support their local gun store? Well, that's kind of a complex answer, but I'll give you my perspective. I think a lot of gun stores charge way too much money for ammo. I think that's a big reason why people go other places to buy ammo. And they are often not as convenient as a place like Walmart. The same reasoning applies to social media platforms. Why go to a specialized place if everything you need is in one place? I mean, heck, the main reason that gun stores exist is because you have to perform a background check to buy a gun. If that wasn't the case, and you could buy a gun online and have it shipped to you or just kind of go anywhere to get one, gun stores for the most part would be just wiped off the earth. And I know that hurts to hear a little bit, like, oh man, our precious gun stores will be gone. But if you didn't have to perform a background check, what purpose do they really serve? Again, it's not meant to be a harsh thing, but think about this. Sure, gun ranges, I get that, that's good. But if you didn't have to perform a background check at a specific place through a licensee, do you actually need a gun store to exist? I'm not sure. The Rick Pickle says, what's your favorite 12 gauge? That's a simple one, the Beretta A400 Extreme. Baglacius83 says, what is your go-to EDC for a quick errand run? Honestly, my EDC doesn't really change. I throw on my VP9 on my hip, and I grab my Vertex bag. The keys and phone are usually in my pockets anyway, or very close by, so that goes with me too. Also, raise your hand if you guys want to see a video on our EDC loadouts here at TGC. My friendly fire question to you guys this week. What do you think is the main reason that we, as a community, gun owners and gun enthusiasts, struggle to get people enthused about gun rights rallies and things like that? Sound off in the comments below. And if you want to ask a friendly fire question, send that to me over on theguncollective.com. And that is it for this week's show, guys. If you disliked it, hit that button. If you liked it, hit like, get subscribed, and consider supporting us via the links in the video description below. Be sure to check out our brand new Subscribe Star page, as well as our second YouTube channel called TGC Surplus. Be sure to get subscribed over there. And as always, thank you all for watching. We'll see you soon. They produce some of the nicest, one more time. Yep, it's over, but don't worry, you can click on the video up top to watch last week's show, and the one below that is the one that YouTube thinks you'll enjoy. Check them out and let me know what you think.